In our previous class, we derived an expression for the electric potential at a point due to a point charge. That means, suppose if I consider a point charge Q kept at some point O, then from this charge at a certain distance, say for example at a distance R, that means at the point P which is at a distance R from the charge Q, what is the electric potential means this electric potential is given by V equal to 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught Q by R. So this is the expression in which we derived in the previous class. Remember, electric field is a vector quantity whereas electric potential is a scalar quantity. This potential has no direction whereas electric field has a direction. What is the expression for electric field at the point P due to the same charge Q? So E equal to 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught Q, only difference is R square. Instead of R, we write R square. Now, using this equation, which is the potential due to an isolated charge, means single charge, isolated point charge, let us derive now the total potential at a point due to a system of charges. That means, if I consider a system of charges like this, I consider a system of charges like this. Say for example, charge Q1 and which is at a distance, say for example, R1P. What is this P? P is the point at which the potential is required. So P is the point at which potential is required. System means two or more than two charges are called as system of charges. This charge is at a distance R1P. Now I consider one more charge Q2 which is at a distance R2P. Similarly, I consider one more charge Q3 which is at a distance R3P. Okay, then again I consider one more charge which is at a distance charge Q4 which is at a distance R4P. So like this I can consider n number of charges. Say for example, I consider nth charge to be somewhere here. This is charge Qn kept at this point which is at a distance Rnp. N means it may be any number, 5, 10, 15. So totally I have taken a system of charges Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 and Qn. All these charges are at different distances from the point P. So R1P, R2P, R3P, R4P are the distances. I consider like this: Q1, Q2, Q3, Q1, comma Q2, Q3, dash dash dash, Qn are the charges kept at distances R1P, comma R2P, comma R3P, dash dash dash, Rnp from where? From the point P. From the point P. Now, to find the total potential of all these charges, let us first find out the potential due to individual charge. Find the potential separately. First, I find the potential due to the charge Q1. So, potential at which point? At P. Remember, potential at the point P due to this charge Q1 is given by V1 equal to 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 divided by R1P. Okay. Similarly, potential at the point P due to the charge Q2. So, potential at P, this is due to, initially it is due to Q1. Now, Similarly, potential at P due to Q2, okay, is given by V2 equal to 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught Q2 divided by R2P. Okay. So like this, I can find the potential due to all charges, n number of charges. So like this, next potential due to the charge Q3, due to the charge Q4, due to the charge Q5, finally potential at the point P due to the nth charge, that means due to the charge Qn. So potential at P due to Qn. So no need to write all the equations, just write the equations for any two charges, then immediately jump to the last charge potential. You can write the potential of the last charge. So Vn is equal to 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught Qn divided by Rnp. So these are the potentials due to individual charges. Now what is the net potential at the point P due to all these charges? Net potential at P is given by V equal to V1 plus V2 plus dash 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 plus Vn according to the principle of superposition of charges. We can apply the principle of superposition of charges either to find the net electric field due to a system of charges, or net electric potential due to system of charges, or the net force acting on any one of the charge due to system of charges. So once again here I made use of the principle of superposition of charges. So V1, V2, V3 dash 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 Vn. In all these, what is common here? 1 over 4 pi epsilon, 1 over 4 pi epsilon is common. So what I do means, while adding, I remove 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught, which is a common term in all these potential equations. So 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 divided by R1P plus Q2 divided by R2P plus dash 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 plus Qn divided by Rnp. Okay. So this is the net potential at the point P due to all these charges. Since potential is a scalar quantity, finding out the net potential is easy because we can simply add all the potentials algebraically. But finding out the electric field due to the system of same charges, if I want to find the electric field due to all these charges at the point P, then I have to follow the vector rules because electric field is a vector. You cannot add the electric field algebraically as we do in case of potential. Since potential is a scalar, we add it algebraically, and finding out the net potential is easy rather than finding out the electric field, finding out the net electric field due to system of charges. This can be put in a simplest mathematical equation. How? V equal to 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught. Instead of adding plus 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 plus, what I do means I write sigma or summation sign. So Qi divided by Rip, where I can take the value from 1 to n. So if I put I equal to 1 in this equation, then it becomes Q1 divided by R1P, which is the first term. 1 over 4 pi epsilon remains common for all these. Then if I put I equal to 2, then I get Q2 divided by R2P, which is this term. Then if I put I equal to n directly, then I get Qn divided by Rnp, which is the last term. So it can also be written in this simplest format. Okay. Now we shall study about equipotential surface. What is meant by equipotential surface and what are its properties? Here, equipotential surface means a surface on which potential remains same are constant at all points on it. Okay, a surface on which potential remains same or constant at all points on it is known as equipotential surface. I written this in a short form, but in the examination don't write like this, write it in a complete format. That means write in a complete word or sentence. Let us know what is the meaning of this. Suppose if I consider a charge q, then from this charge, either a positive charge or a negative charge, at a certain distance, say for example at a distance r, for example 0.5 meter, let the potential at this point be V, which is equal to, as an example, I take this value as equal to 2 volt. Then from the same charge at the same distance r, what is the potential means? Once again it is V, which is equal to 2 volt. Again from this charge at the same distance r, what is the potential means? Once again it is V, which is equal to 2 volt. So 2 volt, 2 volt, 2 volt. So 2 volt, 2 volt, like this. So all around the charge at the same distance, r, it is found that the potential remains to be same. Okay. Now suppose if I imagine this as a charge, then all around this charge at this point, and at this point, all around the charge in any direction, like this, at the same distance, the potential remains to be same. Now if I consider the locus of all these points having same potential, how that locus appears to be? That locus appears to be in the form of a sphere. Here charge q will be there. Then at any point on the sphere, locus means what? Imaginary line or boundary or surface. Imaginary line, boundary or surface passing through all these points. Having same potential. This is nothing but locus, and this locus can be considered as equipotential surface, in which I have rewritten here. The same figure I have written here. That means the distance is r. Okay. At any point on this surface, the potential remains to be same. You choose any point, the potential remains to be same. V, whatever it may be. It may be 2 volts, 5 volts, 10 volts, whatever it may be. So this surface in which I have drawn already here is nothing but equipotential surface. So which is spherical in shape. Suppose provided if I consider a charge here, all around the charge at the same distance, the potential remains to be same. Therefore, I consider this surface as equipotential surface. Suppose if you consider a point charge, what will be the shape of the equipotential surface due to a point charge? See, it will be in the form of concentric spheres like this, Q. Okay, it will be in the form of concentric sphere, but I write that in the form of circle. So this is one equipotential surface, this is another equipotential surface, and this is one more equipotential surface. You can draw any number of equipotential surface till the potential becomes equal to 0. Up to that point, we can represent the equipotential surface by drawing concentric circles like this. What's the potential at this surface, first surface? Say for example, potential at this surface may be 200 volt. For example, what about the potential at any point on this surface? Say for example here, it may be 100 volt. What is the potential on the third equipotential surface at this point? May be 50 volt. That means the potential goes on decreasing as we move away from the charge. So, all points on this first equipotential surface will have the same potential, means 200 volt, 200 volt, 200 volt. So, potential remains to be same at all points on any one of the equipotential surface. Whereas, if you consider next equipotential surface, at any point on the second equipotential surface, once again the magnitude of potential remains to be same. How much it is? 100, 100 volt, 100 volt, 100 volt like this. Again, at any point on the third equipotential surface, the magnitude of potential remains to be same, 50 volt, 50 volt, 50 volt at any point. On a given equipotential surface, the potential is same at any points on it, but the magnitude of potential varies from one equipotential surface to another equipotential surface. This surface has 200 volt potential, this surface has 100 volt potential, this surface has 50 volt potential. For one given equipotential surface, the magnitude is same, but it keeps varying from one surface to another surface, and it goes on decreasing as we move away from the charge. That means the outermost equipotential surface will have the least value of potential than the innermost equipotential surface. So, this is one point or idea in which you have to remember with respect to equipotential surface. This is how the equipotential surface will be due to unlike charges and also like charges. So, minus q plus q, or this may be plus q and this may be minus q, but still the sketch or the diagram remains to be same. Even if you interchange the charges, never mind, no problem. It is not an issue. So, you can notice here the equipotential surface due to unlike charges are once again written in the form of concentric circles, but in the space between the two charges, this charge and this charge, in the space between the two charges, say for example, this is the space in which I am going to represent, the equipotential surface are closely packed. Look here, this is how it is closely packed in the distance between the two charges or in the space between the two charges. Whereas on the other side, you can notice one equipotential surface well separated from another. This is once again well separated from another. That means this distance continuously goes on increasing. This distance goes on increasing. Whereas in the small space between the two charges, equipotential surface are lying close to each other. Whereas in case of like charges, you notice the reverse situation. That means in the small distance between these two charges, that means between this charge and this charge, in the small distance, you can notice the equipotential surface are spreading out from each other. That means equipotential surface are far apart from each other. Continuously, this space goes on increasing. Here also, so this space goes on increasing. Here it is not like that. This space goes on decreasing. So that is one difference we can notice between the unlike charge and also the like charge. So here equipotential surface are far apart from each other. each other in the small space between the two charges. Whereas here equipotential surface are lying close to each other in the small space between the two charges. So if the question is asked for 1 mark, sketch the equipotential surface for an isolated positive or negative charge, better you write like this. Okay, but don't mention the values. Here I written the values of potential just to make you understand, that's all. There is no any specific meaning or significance, just to know how the value of potential varies from one equipotential surface to another surface, that I have mentioned. No need to write these values in the examination. Similarly, they may ask you to sketch or they may ask you to draw the equipotential surface due to unlike charges. Better you write like this. And for like charges, write like this. But you must know, in the space, the equipotential surfaces are far apart from each other, whereas in the small space, the equipotential surfaces are lying close to each other. So this is one equipotential surface, this is another equipotential surface, whereas this is nothing but the uniform electric field. Okay. Remember, for uniform electric field, the equipotential surface are planes which are parallel to each other. Suppose if I want to know about the properties of equipotential surface. What are the properties of equipotential surface? Let us know these properties one by one. From the diagram itself, we can extract 2 properties. What are those properties? Look here. The first one is, if I consider these 2 diagrams, then I can say like this. If the equipotential surfaces are lying close to each other, then in that region, electric field is strong. That means now this region and this region becomes the strong field region. What about this region where the equipotential surfaces are far away from each other? It's a weak field region. In this region, electric field is weak. Again, electric field is weak. If you want to confirm this, then what I can do means, I can draw the electric lines of force. Look here, how do I draw this? We know that electric lines of force starts from positive charge and ends at negative charge. So let us write those electric lines of force like this. I represent that by means of dotted lines. So to avoid the overlapping of equipotential surface with the electric field lines, so I represent electric field lines by dotted lines. So what are these? These are nothing but equipotential surface. Remember, once again, these are nothing but equipotential surface. So let us try to write few more electric lines of force. Like this. Okay. So we can draw electric lines of force, but care must be taken while writing the electric lines of force. What is that care? We should draw the electric lines of force in such a way that no 2 electric lines of force should intersect. One electric line of force, look here, it is not intersecting with this. This electric line of force is not intersecting with this. Like that you have to write. Even here also, look here, this is one electric line of force. This is not intersecting with this. Like that you have to write. Because it is one of the basic property of electric lines of force. No 2 electric lines of force are going to intersect. If they intersect, then at the point of intersection, there must be 2 electric field direction, which is not possible. At one point always exists only one electric line of force direction. At one point there will be only one field direction. Two field cannot exist at one single point. Similarly, here also, based on this property of electric field, I can extract or I can say one more property with respect to the equipotential surface. What is that property means? No two equipotential surfaces are going to intersect with each other. Just like two electric lines of force. If you consider, this is one electric line of force, this is another electric line of force. If these two electric line of force intersect at this point, then there must be two field direction. One field direction should be like this, E1. How will be the field direction? The field direction is always tangential to the electric field line. Look here, E1. And for this second electric field line, if I draw one more tangent like this, so this becomes another field direction. That means at one single point, one field direction like this, another field direction like this is not possible. Similarly, here no two equipotential surface intersect or make contact with each other. You can notice even from this diagram also, there is always a gap between successive equipotential surface. The gap may vary, but they are not making contact. One equipotential surface is not making contact with another. So, we can draw two properties based on these figures. One is, look here, wherever the equipotential surfaces are close, the electric field is stronger. How do you say? Look at this. So, this is nothing but the direction of electric field, which is always from positive charge to negative charge. Understand? Like this. This is the direction of electric field. You can notice here, close to the charge, too many lines of force are there. They are closely packed. This line, this line, this line, this line, this line, closely packed. That is why field is stronger. That means wherever equipotential surfaces are close, their electric field lines are also very close to each other. That is why we say that the electric field is stronger in the region where equipotential surfaces are lying close to each other. Here, the electric lines of force are far away from each other. Therefore, in this region, the electric field is weak. Similarly, here, the equipotential surfaces are far away. Equipotential surfaces are far away. Therefore, in this region, it is found to be a weak field. So, this is one property. This is the region of what? Weak field. Whereas, this is the region of strong electric field. So, let us write what is meant by equipotential surface, that we understood. Now, let us study the properties of equipotential surface. First property, no two equipotential surface intersect. If they intersect, what happens? Say for example, this is one equipotential surface. This is another equipotential surface. This is an equipotential surface of 100 volt. Then this may be an equipotential surface of 50 volt. Say for example, I am giving just random values, not the exact values. This is the point of intersection of the two equipotential surface. This is equipotential surface 1 and this is equipotential surface 2. If they intersect like this, then at this point, what's the potential? Is it 50 volt or 100 volt? So, neither it is 50 nor it is 100. Because at one single point, two electric potential do not exist like this. At one single point, the manner in which two electric field direction do not exist. In the same way, here at one single point, two electric potential do not exist. So, that is why no two equipotential surface intersect with each other. Even you cannot take the average. It's not admissible here. So, therefore, two equipotential surface do not intersect. This is one property. And the second property is field is stronger if equipotential surface are lying closer to each other, and field is, let us say, strong. Field is weak if equipotential surface are far apart from each other. Okay. Or vice versa also we can say. How? If equipotential surfaces are far apart from each other, then in that region the field is weaker. All the equipotential surfaces are far apart, therefore weak field region. Similarly, if equipotential surfaces are closer, then in that region field is stronger. So in the reverse way also we can mention this property. Then what is the next property? Suppose if I want to shift a charge between any 2 points on the equipotential surface. Say for example, I am going to consider now this equipotential surface. I choose 2 points. This is one point, this is another point. Point A, point B. Now, I have to move the charge from point A to point B on the equipotential surface. What's the work done? Arrow represents the direction of motion. It is not the direction of potential, because potential is a scalar quantity. It has no direction. We know the definition. Potential difference between any 2 points is nothing but work done per unit charge, or work done in moving a charge q from one point to another point. Potential difference means I need to find the potential between this point and as well as this point. So I write this as VA minus VB. So delta V is the potential difference, which can be written as equal to, this is equal to VA minus VB, which is equal to delta W divided by Q. So I am shifting a charge Q. It may be of any magnitude, 2 coulomb, 1 coulomb, 5 microcoulomb, 10 microcoulomb, or even it may be unit charge. That means 1 coulomb of charge. What is the potential at this point? It should be 50 volt, because on this equipotential surface at any point the potential remains to be same. So here if it is 50 volt, here also it must be equal to 50 volt. What about the potential at B? Here also once again it is equal to 50 volt. Therefore potential at A, that is VA, 50, minus potential at B is 50, which is equal to delta W by Q. So 50 minus 50 means 0, which is equal to delta W, 0 into Q, Q into 0, that means delta W equal to 0. That means no need to do any work if you want to move a charge from one point to another point on an equipotential surface. This is another property. So let us write that third property here. Work done in moving a charge between any 2 points on equipotential surface is always equal to 0. This is another property. Now let us look into few more properties of this equipotential surface. Suppose if I want to find the direction of electric field with respect to any equipotential surface. Say for example, here charge Q is there. This is one equipotential surface. This is another equipotential surface. Okay. Now what's the direction of electric field with respect to this equipotential surface? Means it is always perpendicular. So this will be the direction of the electric field. Okay. So I can quote this as another property. So direction of electric field on any equipotential surface, direction of electric field on any equipotential surface is always perpendicular. So always perpendicular to it, or it is always at right angles. Look here, 90 degree, 90 degree, 90 degree, because this is nothing but equipotential surface, and this is also equipotential surface of different voltage. This may be of 100 volt equipotential surface, this may be of 50 volt equipotential surface. So this is another property. We can check this, we can verify this mathematically. How do you verify this mathematically? That means, what is the proof or guarantee to say that the equipotential surface is always at right angles? This electric field direction is always at right angles to equipotential surface. What's the proof? Let us consider like this. I consider one equipotential surface which is in the form of a rectangular plane. What is this? Equipotential surface. The property says that the equipotential surface must, the electric field direction must be perpendicular to equipotential surface. What happens if the electric field direction is not perpendicular to equipotential surface? Suppose if electric field is not perpendicular like this to this equipotential surface, but if it makes an angle theta with respect to horizontal on the equipotential surface, then certainly this electric field must have one component all along the horizontal on the equipotential surface. What is that component? Horizontal component E cos theta. This becomes E sin theta. When this happens only if electric field is inclined instead of remaining perpendicular to the equipotential surface. If that's the case, then it must have one component along the horizontal drawn to this equipotential surface. If that is the case, then now if I want to move a charge from one point to another point against to this component, that means I have to move the charge like this opposite to this E cos theta component between point A and point B. What's the work done? Just now we verified that work done to move a charge on any equipotential surface between 2 points is always equal to 0. So same explanation can be given to this also. If at the point A, VA is the potential, if at the point B, VB is the potential, then potential difference between the 2 points, that means VA difference of VB or VB minus VA. Potential difference between the 2 points always equal to work done. Let W be the work done in moving a charge Q. So I need to move a charge Q from point A to point B opposite to this component. Let us derive one important relation between the electric field and the electric potential. So delta V is nothing but potential difference. We shall try to derive the relation between the electric field and the electric potential. So to derive the relation between electric field and electric potential, for this what I do means I am going to consider two equipotential surface. Let us consider two equipotential surface like this. So this is one equipotential surface, and I draw one more equipotential surface. So this is another equipotential surface. That means the two equipotential surface now are parallel to each other and they are one above the other. So this is one equipotential surface and this is another equipotential surface. That means it is almost like this. This is one, this is another, separated by very small distance. So let this one above this this is the equipotential surface. The distance of separation between these two can be taken as delta L. So let us mark this. So this is equipotential surface A and this is equipotential surface B. Now let VA equal to V be the potential of this surface which is at the bottom. What is the potential of this? I treat this as equipotential surface A and let this surface possess a potential VA in which I take this as equal to V. And let the potential of the second equipotential surface B which is above this is first one A and this one is B. So potential of this, let it be VB which is equal to V minus delta V. So what does it indicates now? V minus delta V and V, it clearly shows that if this surface has a potential of 10 volt, above this the equipotential surface B will have a potential less than 10 volt, 10 minus something. If this is of 10 volt, this must have a potential less than 10, that means maybe 8 volts, 5 volts, 6 volts, like that. That's the meaning of V minus delta V and V. Now, I choose one point where on the top of the equipotential surface B, this is equipotential surface B, remember. So, on the top I choose one point here, that point is nothing but P. At the point P, I consider the electric field direction which is away from it in the upward direction. So, if this is the surface B, then the electric field with respect to the point P will be upwards like this, perpendicular to this equipotential surface. That means it will be like this. What the distance of separation between the upper surface and the lower surface? Let the distance of separation between these two surfaces be delta L. Delta L. Okay. Now what I do means, I move a charge Q from one surface to another surface against to the electric field. Work done to move a unit positive charge or test charge Q from where to where? From B to A against to electric field E. Against to electric field E is, I write this as delta W, because the distance of separation between the two surfaces is small. It is not taken to be too large, it should be small. That work done is given by force into displacement. Force into displacement. Displacement means distance moved from one surface to another surface. What the distance through which we move the charge, which is nothing but equal to delta L. This is the basic formula of force in which you might have studied in first PUC. Work done is nothing but the product of force and displacement. But what is F? I can write this F as equal to Q into E. Why? Because we know that electric field at a point is nothing but force acting per unit charge. This we studied already in the first chapter. So if you cross multiply, then F will be equal to E into Q. But here I introduce negative sign. Why negative sign? Because work is done against to the electric field. Because we are moving the charge, if this is the charge, we are moving the charge from upper surface, from the point P to the lower surface. That means field is upwards whereas the charge is moved downwards. That means work is done opposite to electric field, that is represented by negative sign. Okay. Suppose if I substitute here in this equation, then I get delta W as equal to minus Q into E into delta L. Okay. Then we also know that work done in moving a charge from one surface to another surface is equal to potential difference between the two surfaces. To move a charge from one surface to another surface is also equal to potential difference between the two surfaces, that is VA minus VB. Remember, VA is greater than VB, so that is why I write VA first and VB next. This is by definition that we studied already in the previous class explanation. So this is equal to, now what is VA? VA is taken as equal to V minus, what is VB? VB is taken as V minus delta V. Now multiply this by minus n, minus into plus minus, minus into minus plus, minus into plus is minus V, minus into minus plus delta V. Plus V minus V gets cancelled. Now what is delta W? Delta W is equal to delta V. Okay. Here what I do means, I substitute for delta W. If I substitute for delta W, then what can I write? I can write this as equal to, now this equation, call this as equation 1. Equation 1 becomes, now equation 1 becomes, after substituting for this delta W, so it becomes now delta V. In place of delta W, I substitute delta V equal to minus Q into E into delta L. Okay, but if I take Q as equal to 1, because it is test charge or unit positive charge, then what happens to this equation now? Delta V becomes equal to, Q is 1, 1 into E minus E, 1 into E is E into delta L. Now finally, what's the expression for the electric field now? So expression for the electric field now finally becomes equal to E equal to minus delta V divided by delta L. So this is the relation between the electric field and the electric potential, which is derived by taking two equipotential surfaces.